Jews have lived in the Muslim world for as long as Islam has existed in the Muslim world. Anti-Semitism is the crime of the West. You have historic Jewish communities in the Muslim world. Show me that counterpart in the West. It doesn't exist. Zionism is an inherently racist project and in and of itself has a layer of anti-Semitism to it, because the idea was to dispose in many ways of the Jewish people from Europe and from the West. Palestinians did not just wake up one day and start hating Jews. Islam was not the problem. Occupation is the problem. If Muslims came and kicked Palestinians out of their land and established an illegal state on their territory and mistreated them the way that Israel is mistreating them, then we would resist that Muslim state. So this has nothing to do with religion. That is based in not just a lack of facts, but based entirely in fear. And so religion cannot be scapegoated, nor should religion be used to continue the war on the Palestinians. You mentioned Senator Lindsey Graham, who said that Israel is in a religious war and I stand with Israel unapologetically. So it's clearly not us who have the problem of religious fanaticism. In fact, it is the Speaker of the House, it is multiple members of Congress, it's the President of the United States who stands unapologetically as a Zionist and who speaks with such disregard for Palestinian humanity that people in his own country, children, are being slaughtered in his own country and abroad because of his inability to recognize the lack of our humanity.
So when this dehumanizing language starts from the top, does it then give free rein for others to continue with this hateful rhetoric?
Absolutely. Look.
Is that what you're seeing in the United States?
Yes. We have a president whose legacy will be genocide. We call him Genocide Joe for a reason. So, you can't fight that evil if you can't name it properly. And it is important for us to no longer allow the Democratic Party or a Democratic president to say, well, I am the lesser of the two evils. How much more evil can you get than an average of 10,000 civilians being killed a month? You don't get much more evil than that. And so we're not going to fall for it anymore. We will hold him accountable, and we look forward to holding every single politician that has stood for this genocide accountable come November 24.
Through the election? Through the election in the U.S.?
Yes.
Okay.
Through the elections. I'm not being a violent Muslim.
Why do you think this anti-Palestinian rhetoric and this bigotry is not being dealt with perhaps in the same way as other forms of discrimination?
Well, we've been saying for years that Islamophobia is the only acceptable form of bigotry in the mainstream arena in the United States, politically, socially, culturally. You don't see people lose their jobs for anti-Palestinian bigotry. That's before this incredible assault on humanity that we're witnessing right now. Again, I think that it's the culmination of multiple bigotries. There has been an enormous amount of funding that has been put into the dehumanization of the Palestinians and the suppression of any voice that speaks to our humanity. And so you have kids that are getting booted from their law firms, that have their faces being put on trucks, that are getting kicked out of their schools and out of their companies because of something that they tweeted or posted or shared on social media 5-10 years ago. But you have people that spew the most repugnant form of anti-Palestinian bigotry, and they just get promoted in their jobs and in their careers. And so this is why we say that anti-Palestinian bigotry is indeed an extension of Islamophobia, even if not all Palestinians are Muslims. And in fact, the existence of Palestinian Christians is a major obstacle to the framing of this issue by these extremists. Why? Because most Americans have no idea that there are Palestinian Christians that are living under this assault as well, that there are Palestinian churches being bombed. So this confuses the average American mind. But with all of that being said, I think it's important for us as well as Muslims to not fall for the insincere, disingenuous voice that is supposed to be against Islamophobia, yet extends anti-Palestinian bigotry, whether that comes from the president or for those who have claimed to be our interfaith allies in the space of multi-faith work or on the ground. I have said this to multiple people. When Wadi' was murdered, 6-year-old boy in Chicago, I heard from people that I had not heard from before his murder, that extended their condolences, while at the same time their social media and their voices and their institutions were justifying the genocide in Gaza. And I made it a point to say to each and every single one of those voices, and I say it here today, that if you have justified in your mind the erasure of this many innocent Palestinian civilians in Palestine, then you are an Islamophobe, whether you like it or not. And by your definition of an Islamophobe, what's the difference between a child in Gaza and a child in Chicago? And in fact, what's the difference between a Palestinian child, and that child in Gaza? Had I been born there and unable to escape, that same person that extended their sympathy to me would have been justifying my murder.